بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. And we had just finished the first topic on this chapter number 2. So remember, chapter number 2 is talking about the different structures that are used in the Quran and how these structures are used beautifully and they're used remarkably in the Quran. And of course, that first structure that we looked at was how the Jumla Ismiya, or how isms and fi'ls are used in the Quran. So how the noun and the verbs are used in the Quran, depending on the context and depending on several things that we talked about. And we looked at so many examples as far as that, and how the ism is permanent and how the verb is temporary, continuous, and so on and so forth. Right? So inshallah, today we'll begin a second type of structure, how the Quran uses a different kind of structure, and also how it uses this type of structure in a very beautiful, remarkable, and brief manner, in a summarized form. All right. So I just wanted to give that basic introduction so that you can understand as how the conversation, how the book is like. Remember, this is a book. I mean, it's taken us so long to just do one chapter, so we might lose focus on where we are in the book, right? So just to give you like an overview of what is happening in the book, right? So this is the second type of structure that he's going to discuss. So he says وكذلك استعماله للأبنية الأخرى فهو يستعملها استعمالا فنيا عجيبا ويضعها وضعا معجزا. Um, the same way, just like the way we've talked about how he uses isms and fi'als in this remarkable way, وكذلك, in that same way, the Quran uses استعماله, its usage للأبنية الأخرى, different structures as well, because it uses these structures in a beautiful, artistic, remarkable way. ويضعها وضعا معجزا, and it places them in a sort of like a miraculous way. فمن ذلك أن يأتي بالفعل ثم لا يأتي بمصدره بل يأتي بمصدر فعل آخر. So for example, or an example of that is that he comes up with a fi'al, or he mentions a fi'al ثم لا يأتي بمصدره, then he doesn't mention the masdar of the fi'al. This is in the world of مفعول مطلق, like just the way he says here يستعملها استعمالا. So you have يستعملها is the fi'al and استعمالا is the masdar. So it matches, the masdar matches the fi'al. So this is a مفعول مطلق. But now he says the way the Quran uses مفعول مطلق sometimes is that it will come up with a fi'al, and then it doesn't come up with the masdar of that فعل بل يأتي بمصدر فعل آخر يلاقيه في الاشتقاق. He brings another, or the Quran mentions another masdar from another فعل that shares in root words. So اشتقاق مشتق, it's basically morphology, that shares in morphology, right? So this is the idea, and we're going to see the examples of that. فيجمع بين معنى الفعل ومعنى المصدر, and in that way he merges, he fuses between the meaning of the verb and the meaning of the masdar. The meaning of the action, we know the verb has the idea of something being done, the action, and the masdar could be having a different kind of meaning, or maybe like the idea of the meaning of an idea, so to speak. So you have like two meanings being combined in the same way. من أقرب طريق وأيسره, in the closest form and the easiest. وذلك نحو قوله تعالى uh, sorry, give me 1 second. I'm just gonna take care of something. Right. Okay. So yeah, he mentions وذلك نحو قوله تعالى. Uh, that is the example of Allah's speech, for example. So he gives us an example of this whole idea. واذكر اسم ربك وتبتل إليه تبتيلا, in Surah Al-Muzammil. So this example, as you can see in the ayah, you have the فعل تبتل. تبتل يتبتل from family number 5, right? And then you have تبتيل, which is like تعليم, and this is family 2. So the masdar is from family 2, but the verb is from family 5. So he goes on to explain this phenomena. He says فإنه جاء بالفعل تبتل. So he mentioned the فعل تبتل غير أنه لم يأتي بمصدره, except he did not mention the masdar from تبتل, which is تبتل, right? Not تبتيل but تبتل. وإنما جاء بمصدر فعل آخر هو بتل. And instead he brought or he mentioned the masdar of the فعل بتل, which is family 2, which you get تبتيل, right? وذلك أن مصدر تبتل هو التبتل, and that is because the masdar of تبتل, the verb, is التبتل. فإن مصدر تفعل يكون على التفعل, and that is because the masdar of the pattern تفعل is in the form of التفعل. Yeah, we know this. كتعلم, for example, تعلم تعلما, تقدم تقدما, and so on and so forth. Right? So this is the pattern that it follows. وأما التبتيل, as for تبتيل, فهو مصدر بتل لا تبتل. As for تبتيل, it is the masdar from بتل, not تبتل. فإن التفعيل هو مصدر فعل, because تفعيل is the masdar of فعل, كعلم تعليما وعظم تعظيما. And he goes on to give examples just like علم تعليما وعظم تعظيما. وكان المتوقع أن يقول, and he was expected to say وتبتل إليه تبتلا. That is when we're talking about مفعول مطلق, we expect that. تبتل تبتلا. يعني we expect the masdar to match the family, not to go against the family. Right? When we discuss مفعول مطلق, this is what we said. But then the Quran goes against this in order to match the meaning of the مفعول. It's still a مفعول مطلق, but it's from a different family because it carries a different meaning. So he says the expectation was وتبتل إليه تبتلا, right? And the example of مفعول مطلق here will be مؤكد للفعل, stressing the verb. غير أنه لم يقل ذاك, except he did not mention that. وسبب ذلك أنه أراد أن يجمع بين معنيي التبتل والتبتيل. And the reason for that is because he wanted to merge the meanings of تبتل, التبتل, the meaning of this masdar, and the meaning of التبتيل that is mentioned after it. So you have a verb and a masdar from a different family. وذلك أن تبتل على وزن وذلك أن تبتل على وزن تفعل, and that is because the verb تبتل in the pattern or in the container of تفعل و sorry, this is that is because تبتل is, this is a جملة اسمية, so there's an is here. That is because تبتل على وزن تفعل, that is because تبتل is in the form of تفعل. And تفعل يفيد التدرج والتكلف. So this idea of تفعل, it has progression, something that happens in a progressive manner, something that keeps on going. Yeah, تدرج والتكلف, and it has some difficulty in it, right? مثل تجسس وتحسس. تجسس, to spy. You don't just spy once, you spy at different degrees, at different, like it keeps on happening, right? وتحسس, to sense and to feel. وتبصر, which is different from بصر. بصر is to see, but تبصر is to keep on doing it. وتدرج وتمشى, and he keeps on giving these examples. Why? Because there's some difficulty. You know, like تجسس, for example, let's look at تجسس, to spy. You don't, it's not just something that you do it easily. It's something that you have to take some hardship upon yourself. Like you have to pretend you're somebody else, you have to take a cover, you have to be undercover, or you have to lie. There's a lot of takalluf, right? There's a lot of difficulty that you have to undergo in order to spy, and you can't just spy once, right? You just keep on doing it at different degrees and different levels, and you keep progressing in your spying, and you go back with this information, and then you have to go back and get some more information, same thing. So that's what he's saying here in these examples. فإن في تجسس, for example, وتحسس وبقية الأفعال, that is because in تجسس and تحسس and all these other fi'als, the remaining fi'als, تدرجا وتكلفا. There's progression and there's hardship, right? There's some difficulty in it. ألا يرى أن في تبصر من التدرج وإعادة النظر والتكلف ما ليس في بصره. Don't you see? I think this is ألا ترى. I will confirm this. I don't know who Yara is. Who is he talking about? But maybe it's supposed to be ألا ترى. I will confirm this in a bit. Anyway, so he says, don't you see that في تبصر من التدرج وإعادة النظر والتكلف ما ليس في بصرة. Don't you see that in تبصر, when you say تبصر, there's some progression and the return of the sight. It's not just once. You keep looking at it. إعادة النظر, return of the sight, والتكلف, and there's some difficulty in it. ما ليس في بصرة, which and this type of progression, difficulty, and renewal of the sight is not found in Basara. Basara just to see. Khalas. Could just be you saw it once. But Tabassara, you kept looking at it, and there's this you were maybe you were even peeping, like you were in a difficult situation, you're trying so hard to see, right? There's some difficulty in it. وفي تمشى من التدرج ما ليس في مشى. And also when you say تمشى, both of them means walking. When I say تمشيت, I walked. مشيت, I walked. But تمشى, what's the difference between تمشى and مشى? تمشى يعني I exerted myself in walking. Like I was so tired. تمشيت وتمشيت. Like maybe I walked throughout the entire city. I maybe made my 10,000 steps. When you do the 10,000 steps, you can qualify to say تمشيت, right? So, and there's also progression in it. Like you just didn't start and then stop. You kept on going and going and going, right? So that's what he's saying. So I'm going to stop at that paragraph there. I hope that's clear. Any questions as far as what is being said? And I know this concept is familiar to us already, but just in case there's any clarification needed. Okay, seems like we're good. All right, so now we can look at the i'rab of it. Arshi, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Okay. So واو حرف استئناف كذلك I think جار مجرور متعلق مقدم متعلق بالخبر مقدم and استعماله is مضاف إليه مبتدأ and للأبنية is again جار مجرور متعلق بالخبر and أبنية is موصوف and الأخرى is صفة and there is no خبر I guess or it's محذوف.
Yeah, it is محذوف.
Okay. And fa is حرف عطف and هو is again مبتدأ. And the whole bracket I think it's خبر في محل رفع and يستعمله is فعل مضارع فاعله هو and ها is مفعول به. استعمالا فنيا I think استعمالا is مفعول مطلق. And again it is I think موصوف فنيا is صفة number 1 and عجيبا is صفة number 2 استعمالا.
Beautiful.
and واو حرف عطف and يضعها is معطوف ويستعمله and it is فعل مضارع فاعله هو and ها is مفعول به. and again وضعا is مفعول مطلق and it is موصوف and معجزا الصفة. and فمن ذلك I think it's جار مجرور متعلق بالخبر أو فعل مقدم, right? and maybe ياتي is compound أصمت can it be considered as مبتدأ?
So this is going to be متعلق to what?
متعلق بأن ياتي I think
Yes.
متعلق and ذلك is متعلق بالخبر I guess right.
Yes. مقدم.
and yes okay and أن is حرف ناصبة المضارع and
Mm-hmm.
أن يأتي is فعل مضارع منصوب فاعله هو and it is together it is compound اسم مبتدأ right.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So this whole thing will be the مبتدأ.
okay and بالفعل is جار مجرور متعلق بيأتي.
Mm-hmm.
okay and ثم is حرف أت and لا is حرف نفي
Mm-hmm.
ويأتي is فعل مضارع فاعله هو
Mm-hmm.
and بمفعله is again جار مجرور مضاف إليه متعلق and this is متعلق بيأتي.
Mm-hmm.
بل is حرف تدريج okay. am I
حرف
right؟
عطف
حرف عطف I
للإضراب.
think
That's what you wanted to say.
yes للإضراب
Mm-hmm.
and يأتي is again فعل مضارع فاعله هو
Mm-hmm.
بمصدري is again فعل متعلق بالفعل يأتي and مصدري is مضاف فعل is مضاف إليه and فعل
Mm-hmm.
is موصوف and آخر would be صفة.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So
صفة number
if this
one.
is آياتية is مبتدا so the bracket is closed there or the sentence is continuous.
Okay. So there are a couple of things here. Let's see. First of all, there's a question here, maybe. Maybe it's the same question. Can we do translation? Okay. Yeah, we can do the translation, inshallah. Um, let's let's do the i'rab up to here because the sentence ends there. Then we can unpack it all. So let me.
يلاقيه is it فعل مضارع
Mm-hmm.
فاعله هو and
Mm-hmm.
هو is مفعول به
Mm-hmm.
and في الاشتقاق is متعلق بيلاقيه جار مجرور
Mm-hmm.
متعلق بيلاقيه.
Mm-hmm. And what's the relationship between يلاقيه and what came before it?
خلاص I think نكرة بعدها الجملة so it is
Beautiful.
صفة
Mm-hmm. But صفة of what?
صفة of فعل.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So في فعل آخر is صفة number one. يلاقيه is صفة number two.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the other thing that I wanted us to unpack here is how do we look at this ثم and how do we look at this بل and what is it connected to? All right. So the easiest way is to just assume that يأتي بفعل, this is a sentence. لا يأتي بمصدره is a sentence. بل يأتي بمصدر فعل آخر is another sentence. So, sorry, yeah, is another sentence. So what are we doing? We're just using حرف عطف to connect a sentence with a sentence. For example, if I say, Fatima went and Muhammad came. I'm using and to connect two sentences. And those two sentences are what? Fatima came and Ahmed went, right? So there's no connection in terms of Arab. It's just that I'm connecting these two sentences. That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is to assume that we're connecting from and not two sentences like that. We're not connecting from yati, we're connecting from an. And when we're connecting from an, then all this yati would be affected by an. So أن يأتي بفعل ثم أن لا يأتي بمصدره بل أن يأتي بمصدر فعل آخر, which I think is just bulky and unnecessary. To be honest, I don't think that's يعني an easy way of looking at it. Is just complicating things for no reason. So when you just look at it this way, you look at it at it as يأتي بفعل. I'm connecting this part to لا يأتي بمصدره. So I don't have to carry the fatha all the way. I can just put a sukun and say لا يأتي because I'm looking at this as a new sentence. لا يأتي بل يأتي. Just looking at it as a new sentence. So the an is not affecting the other versions of it. I hope that's clear. And also because I feel like يعني it would be easier to look at it that way, as opposed to saying and so that he doesn't bring a fi'al, and so that again you keep on repeating the an, just making the sentence bulky for no reason, to be honest. Although grammatically it is possible to look at it that way. Now, let's try and translate this. So, وكذلك استعماله للأبنية الأخرى. The same way, it's the usage of other structures, right? In the same way, you can even say وكذلك, in the same way is its usage of other structures. فهو يستعملها استعمالا فنيا عجيبا. It, يعني the Quran, uses them. What is them going back to? الأبنية الأخرى. Uses this different structures استعمالا فنيا عجيبا. Uses them artistically and remarkably beautiful, or something like that. I don't know. You can figure out how to translate استعمالا because it's a مفعول مطلق. You don't really translate it. So it's just extremely beautiful and remarkable and yeah, something like that. ويضعها وضعا معجزا, and he places them, or it places them, يعني the Quran, it places them and them going back to الأبنية الأخرى, these other structures. So it places them, again وضعا is a مفعول مطلق, no need to translate it. So it places them extremely miraculously, I don't know, something like that. I don't know how I translated this when I was doing the translation, but I'm really doing a direct translation here so that you can see the pieces coming in together. فمن ذلك, and from that, now he goes on to give the example. So what does he mean by the Quran uses other structures in a beautiful artistic manner? فمن ذلك, so here's an example. أن يأتي بالفعل, it brings or it mentions a فعل ثم لا يأتي بمصدره. Then he doesn't mention the مصدر or its مصدر, بل يأتي بمصدر فعل آخر يلاقيه في الاشتقاق. Rather, he mentions a مصدر from another فعل, that, again because it's another صفة, so I'm using that. So another فعل that يعني that what is the word, that has the same root or that shares roots, all right, that has the same morphology, if you can, yeah. لاقى يلاقي, it's to meet somebody, right? To meet somebody. So meeting would not be the appropriate correct term here. So maybe sharing, that shares in morphology or shares in root letters. I hope that's clear. Again, feel free to ask if you have any questions. Okay, we can continue.
So فاعل حرف عطف and يجمع فعل مضارع فاعله هو بين is مضاف and معنى is مضاف إليه, and again معنى I think مضاف and الفعل is مضاف إليه. it is متعلق بيجمع. واو حرف عطف and again معنى.
But what is بين? What is بين?
It is ظرف.
ظرف, exactly.
ظرف مكان.
Yes, ظرف مكان.
Okay. And this معنى can be معطوف to previous معنى.
Yes, precisely.
And again it is مضاف and المصدر is مضاف إليه. And still I think it's continue. MBF is continue here. Still here. من حرف جر and أقربي is مجرور. أقربي is مضاف and طريق is مضاف إليه. And it is the second متعلق بالفعل.
Beautiful.
بيجمعه متعلق بيجمعه.
Mm-hmm.
واو حرف عطف أيسريه is معطوف أقرب طريق with مضاف إليه. أيسري is مضاف and he is مضاف إليه.
Exactly.
الواو حرف عطف ذلك yes مبتدأ here.
Mm-hmm.
النحو is خبر.
Mm-hmm.
نحو is مضاف and قوله is مضاف إليه. and
Yes.
قوله is again مضاف إليه. so it is متعلق بالخبر.
Mm-hmm.
sorry it is
What is
خبر.
متعلق بالخبر? It is the خبر.
yes it
Yeah.
is a خبر. and
Yes.
ta'ala is the hal of the who.
Yes.
And this ayah is the bayan of
Mm-hmm.
قوله I guess.
Yes. Okay. So maybe before we move on, why is أقربي? Why did we put a kasra on أقربي and أيسري?
So because أقربي is ism tafdeel
Uh-huh.
and it is because of mudaf, so we put it got us mudaf ilay, that's why we put أقربي the jar in the jar form.
Precisely. So أقرب is اسم تفضيل. It's supposed to be ممنوع من الصرف. It's supposed to be partly flexible. But because it's coming as a مضاف here, then it takes on a kasra. Right? Same thing with أيسري. It is a مضاف and therefore it takes on a kasra. Okay. Mm-hmm.
فحرف عطف and إنه is مبتدأ
Mm-hmm.
and the rest of the sentence is خبر في محل رفع إن جاء فعل ماضي فاعله هو بالفعل جار مجرور متعدد بجاء
Mm-hmm.
and the is a بدل or عطف بيان of فعل.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
and غير is مضاعف and is it the current sentence is جار في محل جر أنه أو غير.
Yes. Yes. This whole thing will be في محل جر مضاف إليه.
okay and again أنه is مبتدأ and the coming sentence is خبر في محل رفع from
Mm-hmm.
لم يأتي and لم is حرف ناصبة المضارع and يأتي is
لم is
المضارع
what?
حرف جازمة المضارع
Mm.
sorry
Yes.
and يأتي is فعل مضارع مجزوم here
Uh-huh.
and فاعله هو.
Yes.
في مصدره is again جار مجرور مضاف إليه and it is
Mm-hmm.
متعلق بيأتي.
Mm-hmm.
واو حرف عطف and إنما is حرف كافة مكفوفة I guess.
Yes, that's what we call it. كافة ومكفوفة.
and جاء كان فعل ماضي فاعله هو and بمصدر فعل جار مجرور مضاف إليه it is متعدد بجاء and فعل is موصوف and آخر is صفة آخر sorry.
Mm-hmm.
and هو it is explaining فعل.
So what do you think? Is it a new sentence?
إنما جاء بمصدر فعل آخر هو. I think it is explaining
Uh-huh.
what fail is يعني بطل is a
Uh-huh.
fail. So
Uh-huh.
it is I think عطف بيان maybe explaining so I don't
Okay, let me do it like that. Any clues? So we have two opinions. صفة, حال. What is happening? So you have نكرة بعدها الجملة, just like we had before.
okay
Yeah.
so هو is جملة اسمية with a مبتدا so it is the new sentence with the صفة number 2.
Yeah.
Okay. هو بطل so in the inside bracket baptized spell, what we call
So this would be a مبتدأ
baptized.
and this would be a خبر in يعني في محل رفع.
Okay, okay. And baptized فعل ماضي فاعله هو واو
Mhm.
حرف أت. and ذلك again is مبتدأ.
Mhm.
and أن مص أن مصدر
Mhm. أن. This is
أن
أن.
أن المصدر. it is again خبر في محل.
Yeah, so the whole
no
thing would be the
would be
أن.
خبر في محل رفع.
Uh-huh.
and inside bracket أن حرف نفذ المصدر is اسمه أن.
Mhm.
and تب تبتل
تبتل. So this is the verb.
تبتل is فعل ماضي. so it
Mhm.
is خبر في محل رفع. I guess.
So no. So أن مصدر تبتل. So here you can look at it. There's like quotes.
bracket. Okay.
Yeah. So it's going to be a مضاف إليه actually. في
Okay.
محل جر.
Okay. so then هو is again مبتدأ
Mhm.
and it is صفة
Actually,
to the
so
previous.
here هو, imagine if this هو was not there, would the sentence make sense? أن مصدر تبتل التبتل. Would it make sense?
yes 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 yes.
So what do you think this هو is doing here?
is
It is distinguishing between the خبر and the مبتدا because the خبر has al on it, right?
right.
What kind of a pronoun is that? What kind of a
هو
pronoun
it's
does that?
it is on my mind but it's not coming. like سبحان
الضمير
الله. الشاهد
الضمير
الضمير الشاهد.
فصل, sorry, فصل, not شأن,
فصل.
فصل.
okay فصل.
Yes, break up
okay.
pronoun, referee pronoun, exactly. This is a referee pronoun. Like you said,
yeah
ذلك
okay,
هو الفوز العظيم. Yeah. And of course, we look at it as a مبتدا again. So we look at it as مبتدا, مبتدا, and then خبر. That's one way of looking at it.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
and التبطل is a خبر inside bracket
Yes.
في محل رفع. and فحرف أت in is حرف شرطية إن.
إنه. Yes.
إن okay. إن is حرف نصب and مصدر again اسمه إن.
Uh-huh.
and together it is مبتدأ. and تفاعل is خبر في محل رفع.
مضاف إليه. Just like we did.
okay.
أن
مصدر.
مصدر.
okay.
Uh,
okay. it is مضاف إليه في محل جر.
yes.
this is how we say. and يكون is فعل ناقص فاعله هو يكون
يكون.
sorry.
Yes, يكون. Uh-huh.
so it is خبر of
Yes.
في محل رفع.
Yes.
okay. and على حرف جر and تفاعله would be مجرور في محل جر.
Mm-hmm.
it is متعدي بيكون.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So you have this is متعلق بالفعل أو بالخبر in this case because it's كان. Mm-hmm.
okay. and تعلم is يا مجرور تا حرف جر and تعلم is مجرور.
Mm-hmm.
and تعلمي
تعلم. كتعلم. So he's giving examples, right?
okay. it is not the jar.
Yes. So you look at
right?
it as in brackets, like ka
okay.
this, and just like here we said هو بتلا, like or the
okay.
way we say أن مصدر تبتلا. تبتلا is a verb, but it's protected in the brackets, so we look at it as like في محل جر مضاف إليه like an اسم, but inside it's a verb. Same way here.
okay. so it is في محل جر inside
Mm-hmm.
bracket, right?
Yes.
and تعلما is مفعول مطلق.
So this is the masdar.
تعلم.
So you look at it this way. You look تعلم تعلما. Like that's how he's taking the, like for example, you have تعلم تعلما,
Okay,
verb and a masdar.
okay,
Verb
okay.
and a masdar. Yeah.
Just like the previous one, tabattala and attabattala, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, okay, okay.
And the same thing
So,
وتقدم تقدما. Same thing.
okay, okay. So it is معطوف to previous one, right?
Yeah,
واو
so this,
حرف عطف
yeah,
and تقدم
معطوف
already
to تعلم.
معطوف to تعلم and
Hmm.
تقدما.
Exactly. So just if I say,
Okay,
like, because these are protected, these are words that we cannot really change the verb. The verb is تعلم. The verb is تقدم. So he's trying to
okay,
give an example of the verb. The verb is what تعلم, just like تبتل is like تعلم. And the masdar is تبتلا, which is just like تعلما. That's the whole idea here.
okay.
Yes, Saida Samia, you have a question?
Yeah, how is this car behaving over here?
So this is kaf harf jar. We know
Okay,
this.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's the ism majroor is protected by the brackets.
Okay,
So the ism majroor تعلم is in
yeah.
quotation marks. So it's في
Okay,
محل جر مضاف
yeah.
إليه. Sorry, اسم
Okay,
مجرور. اسم مجرور.
it's a major. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So this تعلم is not an ism. It's a verb, but it's protected in the brackets. We cannot change it. It's under quotation marks. Any other questions or clarifications there? I
We,
want
we we just put it into quotations. We don't have to assume that there is an un here, right?
No, there's no an. There's no
There's no
an.
un. Okay, so with quotation, it is just as it
Yeah.
is. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Just quotation. Like if I said, for example, walking. If I said مثل walking, well, how would I do the i'rab of walking? It is a verb, walking, يمشي. مثل يمشي. How would I do the i'rab of that? Like I would say that this walking is in quotation marks. I'm not saying that it is a mudaf ilay directly, or because it cannot be, it's not an ism, but because it is protected by the quotation, then I can say في محل جر مضاف إليه or something like that.
Okay. 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 So if with the quotation, you don't need un over here. Like sometimes you put it after hatta, right? So we don't
كأن,
need it for quotations, right?
you mean like كأن?
No, no. Like after hatta, sometimes you put an un muzmara. What do you call that? Right? So we
Yeah,
don't need for quotation these kinds of un.
but here you don't have كأن. You have كأن.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
an
Okay. Got it.
مضمرة comes with maybe لي أن or other حروف, but it doesn't come with ka.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Understood.
All right.
Jazakallah khair.
وإياكم. Okay, so I wanted to talk about غيرة here because we just really passed over it and we didn't really mention anything about it. We didn't do the i'rab of it. We said it's a mudaf, but mudaf is not a role, that it's not an i'rab role. It's like a type of the word. The role here would be mustathna. It is a mustathna, just like illa, right? We have illa, which means except, but sometimes غير can also be used to mean lakin or lakinna, but, rather, right? So it can come in that meaning as well. So if you read this sentence, maybe let's try and translate from فيجمع. فيجمع بين معنى الفعل ومعنى المصدر. So he combined between the meaning of the verb and the meaning of the masdar, right? من أقرب طريق وأيسره. From the closest and easiest way. وذلك نحو قوله تعالى, and that is and from that you can say is the example of Allah's speech واذكر اسم ربك وتبتل إليه تبتيلا. So this example that he's giving. فإنه جاء بالفعل تبتل. So he mentioned this فعل تبتل, right? And that's why we said it's a badal, because you can say فإنه جاء بتبتل. You can easily replace تبتل with the فعل. That's why it's a badal. فإنه جاء بالفعل تبتل غير أنه لم يأتي بمصدره. He mentioned the verb تبتل except, so you can translate it as مستثنى, except أنه لم يأتي بمصدره, except he did not bring its مصدر. Or you can also translate it as لكن, but. فإنه جاء بالفعل تبتل. He mentioned the verb تبتل, but he did not mention, or he did not bring the مصدر, its مصدر. So غير here can be understood either as either as لكن or مستثنى. What's the difference if we take it as لكن or مصدر? It opens the world of الحصر, the world of like limiting something. If I use it as the meaning of لكن, then I'm limiting it to a certain discussion, right? So I am negating the first idea and I am limiting the idea to the second one. So if I said he did not do this, or if I said he did not come today, but he promised to come tomorrow. If I said that he did not come today, but he promised to come tomorrow, that means I am sort of correcting the narrative that came before. I'm saying, or I'm limiting the discussion to the fact that he will come tomorrow, right? So that's the idea. I'm correcting. I'm saying this is not the case. This is what will happen, right? So that's how lakin or but means. But if I say except, then except is istithna, is making an exception. Like you have a general rule, and then out of that general mustathna minhu, I am pulling out something that is the exception. So it's a very subtle difference between the two, but the meaning is the same. So you can either say rather, you can translate it as rather or but, or you can say except, right? But it kind of means this more or less the same thing. Doesn't mustathna come in a negative sentence? Are you asking if... So there are three ways in which the mustathna can come. It can come in a positive sentence where the mustathna minhu is mentioned. It can come in a negative sentence where the mustathna minhu is mentioned. It can come in negative sentence where the mustathna minhu is not mentioned, right? So maybe I could just share. Because I know mustathna, this istithna is a long discussion, and because we didn't really learn it in Bayina, so it keeps something that keeps coming up. So maybe let me open my notes, and then we can just go over this discussion a little bit. الاستثناء والمستثنى منه.
Sister Elam, we usually take ghaira as a sifa of the ism that it follows. So so that is another case, right? And here we are taking it to behave like illa.
Yes.
They are both different cases, right?
Yes. It depends, because so if it comes as a sifa, you would see the meaning of a sifa. But here, the meaning of a sifa is not there. It doesn't make sense as a sifa. Right? So if it doesn't make sense as a sifa, you look at it as a istithna.
Okay. So in case of istisna, will it always be mansub, ghaira?
Yes. Always mansub.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's the mustathna. So I'm just gonna... So I had to stop sharing so that I can reshare again. Maybe just quickly go over this discussion of istithna. And maybe I can share these notes with you in the group as well, just so that you can take a closer look, inshallah. I'm going to skip the first page because it's just introduction. What is al-mustathna? What is adatul istithna? What is mustathna minhu? What is the hukum and all that? So there are 4 parts to the discussion. You can maybe read this later on, bit by bit. And then there's the types of istithna. So this is what we're talking about, right? The types of istithna. It can either come... It's happening. Why is it not going forward? So this is illa. So there are two kinds of, again, adatul istithna. You have illa is one word, and then you have ghayra and siwa is another word, and then you have the ones that come as huruf. So khala, ada, and it also comes as fi'l. So these ones are a bit but we're not gonna focus on that. This is what we want to know about. We want to know about ghayra and siwa. So there, like I mentioned, there are three cases. The case where it comes in a positive sentence, this is called a tam al-muthbit, basically a complete positive sentence, right? Where you have the mustathna minhu is mentioned. So in this case, the ghayra and siwa is nasab because it is mustathna. So it will always be mansub. ghayra mansub, siwa mansub, mansub bil fatha, right? And the ism after it is going to be majroor because ghayra is mudaf ilay, siwa is, ghayra and siwa are mudaf. So whatever comes after it is going to be mudaf ilayhi. And that's how we did it in our i'rab as well. We said the whole anna and the whole sentence is fi mahalli jar mudaf ilayhi. So that's the first case where it is positive and the mustathna minhu is mentioned, right? Like for example, najaha at-tullabu. Tullabu is the mustathna minhu, the general population that we are trying to make an exception out of. غير مستثنى منسوب واحد مضاف إليه. Right? So this is a positive sentence where the mustathna minhu is mentioned. Then you have a tam al-manfi. This is a negative sentence where the mustathna minhu is mentioned. Right? ما فازت السباحات سوى سباحة. Right? So you can see here that this السباحات is the مستثنى منه. سباحة is the مستثنى منسوب, right? And here there are two ways of dealing with, just like illa, there are two ways. You can either look at it as mustathna or you can look at it as a badal of what came before it. And then of course, just like illa, I don't even know why they separated because the discussion is pretty much the same. The only difference is that with illa, maybe that's why they separated. With illa, it's the ism that comes after illa that is mustathna. It's not illa itself because illa is a harf. So illa cannot be a mustathna. But because ghayra and siwa are both isms, then they become the mustathna themselves. So I think maybe that's why they separate the discussion between the two. But the functionality is more or less the same. So you have three cases: positive, complete sentence where the mustathna minhu is mentioned; negative, complete sentence where the mustathna minhu is mentioned; negative, incomplete sentence where the mustathna minhu is not mentioned, right? And here it's treated this is where now you treat it according to how it appears in the sentence, right? لا يدخل غير المسابقين متسابقين. So here, of course, this will be the fa'il, right? So it's treated according to how the sentence behaves. Again, I'll just share because I know this one will take a little bit of time. I know you probably have a lot of questions here, or maybe I just confused you further. I don't know. And maybe we can just do a class at some point and do istithna, right? But is anything clear? Are we good?
Yes, I have a question. Like if the second one example, then the sound you mentioned and it was a later sentence. So we took sometimes badal or mansoob. So because it is mudaf ilayh, so the whole word would be taken as mansoob or badal, right? Siwa sabahatin.
In a sense, yes, that's how we learned it in Bayina. But remember, in the classical way of learning i'rab in Arabic, they take each word, every word has its own i'rab. So they don't like put in buckets like we normally put things in buckets. If like inna and its ism, that's one bucket. But in the classical way of looking at it, of teaching Arabic, they will say inna is harf nasib, and the ism inna, they will separate the two. So they will look at every single word and give its i'rab. But yes, generically and generally speaking, that will be the case, yes.
Okay, so we call siwa here is mustathna mansoob.
Siwa, yes. Yes. Mustathna mansoob. or it could be بدل مرفوع because السباحات here is the فاعل, it's مرفوع. So either it could be the بدل of السباحات or it could be مستثنى منصوب. There are two ways of looking at it. Both are correct. Both are correct.
Okay. And we call صباحة just مضاف إليه,
Yes.
right? Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
If we take it as badal, then this will be rafa, right?
Yes.
Okay.
مرفوع. Yeah. Like I mentioned here, مرفوع بدل من مستثنى منه السباحات. Yeah. So if somebody does the i'rab of this and says this is مرفوع, it's correct. If somebody does the i'rab and says this is mansub, it's also correct. That's the idea. Okay.
And when you have the translation using except and then using but, how much does the translation change?
You want to know the difference between the two?
Yes.
Okay.
If we and he used the word except
And but.
where do that's
You
where,
feel like they mean the same thing?
yes. And I'm trying to make the sentence. So then so when we translate ja bil fi'li tabattal ghayra annahu, so we would translate that as, and he used the verb tabattal except that he did not use its masdar,
Yes.
and it would be the same, and he used the verb, but he did not use its masdar. So it's kind of the
Yes.
same.
Yeah, it's kind of the same. It's very close in meaning. In this particular instance, the meaning is not very clear. But let me say, but when I talk about istithna, so you have something that happens, we expect, like there's certain expectation, or there's a certain rule, and then there's an exception out of that rule. So we expect it to be this way. We expect the fi'al to be tabattal, except it wasn't, right? So there's an exception. But when it comes to istidrak, when I say lakinna, I'm not talking about, there's no general rule. It's just that I made a statement, but that the first statement I made was not the correct statement. So now I'm correcting that statement with a but, or I'm correcting it with a rather, or an instead, right? So I'm correcting whatever I said before. So that's basically the difference between the two. Sometimes it can be very subtle, but sometimes it can be very obvious, and it can actually portray different meanings. Maybe I'll try and look for an ayah in the Quran where this is possible, where you have idrab and istidrak meanings present, or I don't know if istithna and istidrak happen in the Quran at the same time like this. This is something I need to find out. But yeah, sometimes it can be very clear or give like very different but compatible meanings. And sometimes the meaning is not very obvious, like in this case. It more or less means the same thing. When you think about it, the meaning boils down to the same thing, really. Yeah. Not saying the master. This is the point, right? Not bringing the fi'al of tabattal, and he did not bring the master. It's more or less the same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
One more thing.
So,
In the line before,
Fauzi, your voice is
Mr.
very
Porter,
faint.
can you, yeah, speak a little louder so that we can hear your question.
I'm just asking in line number 4, the mubtada fa inna masdara tafa'ala, then is yakunu. Now their parts are covered, correct?
Yes.
Cover goes all the way to taqaddumat. Yes, you can find it.
Yes, the whole sentence goes all the way to taqadduman. Yeah. Any other
Okay.
questions?
Yeah, I was thinking it makes sense. The translation makes sense if you use but or you use rather. Uh, it makes sense. I buy
Yeah.
it 100%. So I'm just thinking that if you take this as a sifa, could be translated as he brought a verb for which he did not use a masdar
A sifa of what?
of fail.
It has al on it.
So idafa can't be a sifa to it has to be a sifa for a proper noun, right? Or am I wrong?
Okay, I see what you.
Yeah.
So,
I'm buying your theory. It works. It's more rational. Yeah. I'm just trying to distinguish in my mind, where do you take this as a sifa and where do you take this? You can play around the translation in any way you want, but I'm just stuck on this. The example, alhamdulillah, you quoted in your PDF, they are very clear, pretty clear. But over here, it's a kind of a confusing because you can translate it both ways.
Okay. Okay, so here's the thing. When I'm using a sifa is a word that describes something else, right? So if I'm saying that غير أنه لم يأتي بمصدره is a sifa to the fi'l, this whole structure of إضافة has to describe this fi'l, right? So for example, if I say a blue book, this blue is describing the book, right? If I say a book that is not blue is describing the book still, right? It's still a sifa. Now let's think about it. بالفعل أو الفعل غير أنه لم يأتي بمصدره. Does that sound like a description to the fi'l? Like,
No.
can I say that this is a description to that?
No.
No, exactly. So that's how you know that this cannot be a description. Right?
Got it. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair for bearing with us.
No problem. I can understand how the confusion comes in. By the way, غير and siwa can also come in context يعني where they do not mean استثناء at all. Like they can come as a مبتدا or they can come as a فاعل. Yeah?
Even as khabar.
Even as khabar or something else. So again, just to be able to understand the different contexts as how I can apply this word is very important. So it's good to distinguish how it all comes together.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. Yeah.
Brain غير عقل now fried.
Yeah. Anyway, we had the 1 hour mark anyway, so at least we stopped at a full stop. So inshallah, maybe next time we can begin with amma from here, and we can try and complete this paragraph. But yeah, good discussion, guys.
Okay.
Whenever
As
we don't have
for
this class, I
anything
miss
other
it.
than ghaira. As
Sorry?
for other than ghaira. Start with as for other than ghaira. Let's move. Okay.
Alhamdulillah, but it's good to also, when we are breezing through and we are looking at مبتدا خبر متعلق بالخبر and it's so easy. Once in a while, it's good to have these concepts that make your brain work. It puts dementia away. We're chasing dementia. Right?
Yeah, ours don't work, but we fear sometimes maybe we will put yours also on standstill.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, it's a fairly easy passage to be honest, other than, words like غيرة that just sneak up on you and you're like, what is happening there? And, ka تعلم and you're like, what is happening? Why is تعلم is a verb, ka is حرف jar, where is the ism? Just maybe
Yeah.
those few things, but other than that, it's an easy passage to be honest. Oh yeah, then
Alhamdulillah.
غيرة Kim, yeah. Subhanallah.
Alhamdulillah. It's just nice,
Yeah.
something which I'm not very friendly with.
I know
I'm
it's
sorry.
one of those topics. Yeah.
Okay, so inshallah next time can we do a bit of the fas, the type of
Oh
fa?
yes. Yeah, we
Okay,
mentioned we would do
inshallah.
that. Inshallah.
Inshallah. Inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
وإياكم جزاكم الله خير. All right, guys. I'll see you guys next time, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم.
Wa alaikum assalam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep you in rahmah, neema, and afiyah. Ameen.